welcome back to Chris's Moto Life. We're on episode 27 already. We've been all over the place. We've been in my driveway, we've been to some location shoots, we've been to a lot of people's different garages. Well, today we're into something a little different, my living room. You know, some people use their living rooms for living, some use them for entertaining. I use mine to house my little Suzuki collection. I've got Suzukis from 1980s, 70s, and 60s. Start with the 1980s. This is my Suzuki GS500. Back in '83, this was the fastest bike that you could buy on the street. It would do like 140, 142 miles an hour. It's a pretty good bike. I think it's crazy that people were going 142 miles an hour on these bikes because I don't think that the engineering at that point was really up to what it is now. I mean, think about it now. You can jump on a Hayabusa and do like 160, 170 miles an hour, whatever they do. Absolutely no problem, and it'll hold really nice and steady. These get a little shaky when you're up there, but that kind of makes it fun. Hey, if anyone's interested in this one, I am about to sell this one because I need the room. I've got 6 motorcycles already in here. Okay, now we'll move on to the I think it's a 1974, 75, or 76 Suzuki GT750. The reason that I give you all these different years is because I bought this bike originally in Springfield, Massachusetts. I drove up there to get it, and it was 2 motorcycles. It was a 76, and it was an earlier one. I'm not so sure. I think that this frame is like a 74 or a 75, but I put the engine in from the 76. You'll notice that this one also has rear sets on it, if we can get a close-up of that. I got these from the guy from Omar's, of all places. He makes the flat track kits for the Yamaha 650s. I also put some pod air cleaners on. I really polished the engine. And I believe it or not, on this bike, I have a 3-in-1 expansion chamber. I'm not so sure how that's going to work. I may have to replace that once I get the bike going a little better, but I'm going to give it a try. It's kind of a neat concept, and it saved a lot of weight. The original exhaust system was really, really heavy. This thing weighs like nothing, and he did such a nice job powder coating. I wish he was still in business, but I don't think his business is going anymore. This bike, something funny about it, I bought this bike about maybe 14 years ago. I was in between jobs and I was driving back from Springfield, Massachusetts, as I said, where I had bought it. And I remember talking to a lady about a job. And I remember I had no job, I didn't have a ton of money or anything like that. And I remember just turning down $25 an hour because I was in IT. People were paying a lot more, and I just remember talking to the lady in the truck on my cell phone on the way back with this motorcycle and telling her, no, I won't work for 25, and it was for Verizon, which was dumb because then it took me another year to find a job. So I think I'm my own worst enemy on things such as that, but everything worked out all right, and I got a job. But this bike is still not done. I've been working on this for 13 years. We don't want to rush things at Chris's Moto Life. We just want to take our time, but I think it'll be a fun little cafe bike once it's done. It'll be a good bike night bike, and I just love 2-stroke motorcycles. This is a 2-stroke water-cooled motorcycle, and what it does is it was one of the first. Actually, it wasn't one of the first. I think there was a Scott Flying Squirrel back in the 20s or 30s in England that was a 2-stroke water-cooled, but really for the masses. This was where it really started when Suzuki introduced these, and I think these were introduced like in the early 70s. Okay, we got the 70s covered. Why don't we step back here to the Suzuki K15 Hillbilly, 1965 K15 Hillbilly. This was one of the first things that Suzuki had sent over here to America. I guess they wanted to get onto the dirt bike craze. This is a cool little bike, and again, it's a 2-stroke. It's got about 7.5 to 8 horsepower. I've read many different reports of the horsepower, but I think they're all right between like 7.3 and 8. This thing really rips. What's funny is that we bought this, we put some gas in it, we got it running, we were running it up and down the road for about a half an hour, and it has never run since. And that is probably about maybe 8 or 9 years ago when that happened. So this kind of is just like a little display piece. As you can see, my Suzuki collection is not as complete as you would think. You may ask yourself, why Suzuki? Well, when I was 13 years old, I started working at a Suzuki motorcycle shop called Valentine Suzuki in Dallas, Pennsylvania. And that just got me really into Suzukis, into motorcycles. I've been doing this like for a long, long time now. So it was great in my teens. We would take bikes like this little K15, rip them around the trails and everything. Then I had an XR75 Honda, an RM80, RM100, an RD350, an RD400, an RD400 Daytona Special. So really near and dear to my heart are A, Suzuki's, B, Yamahas, C, two-stroke engines. I really, really love them. They're so much fun. You might notice to my right that I've got the trunk lid of my Lotus in the living room. We've got Rene Arnoux looking down on top of us all, driving his old Ferrari from back in the day of Formula One. Well, that's about all I've got for you today. I mean, I wish we can be out riding some bikes, but I swear it's like 45, 50 degrees out, and I do not like riding in the cold weather. I'm sure everybody is going to call me a wimp for that, but hey, I'm a fair weather rider. I will ride. I'll ride in full leathers and 100 degrees on the track, but darn, when it's like 40s, 50s, you freeze. All right, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to Chris's Moto Life, and as always, I want you to have the most awesome week ahead. Thanks.